Cowboys Nation, hold on to your hats because I've got some earth-shattering news that's about to rock the NFL. Picture this: DeAndre Hopkins, the man with hands of gold, potentially suiting up in the iconic star next season. That's right, we're talking about one of the league's top receivers possibly joining America's team. Can you imagine Doc throwing bombs to D-Hop while CD and Cooks keep the defense guessing? It's not a dream, folks. It could be our new reality. Stick around as we dive deep into this game-changing possibility that has the whole league buzzing. Trust me, won't want to miss a second of this. Hey there, Cowboys Nation. Welcome to Dallas Cowboys Fan, your ultimate destination for all things America's team. Whether you bleed blue and silver or are just starting to catch Cowboys fever, this is the place. If you are a die-hard fan, please make sure to subscribe for more latest news and updates of your favorite team. We're about to dive into some potentially game-changing developments for America's team. That's right, we're talking about the possibility of the great superstar DeAndre Hopkins joining the Dallas Cowboys. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritty, make sure you smash that like button and hit subscribe if you haven't already. We've got a lot to unpack here, so let's get right into it. All right, let's set the scene. The Dallas Cowboys, coming off another season of almost but not quite, are looking to make that final push to get back to the Super Bowl. We all know they've got talent, but something's been missing. Could that missing piece be none other than the 5-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro DeAndre Hopkins? For those of you who've been living under a rock, Hopkins was recently released by the Arizona Cardinals, sending shockwaves through the NFL. This guy's a bona fide superstar, folks. We're talking about a receiver who can catch anything thrown in his zip code. His hands are like super magnets, I swear. Now, I know what you're thinking. But YouTuber name, the Cowboys already have CeeDee Lamb and Brandon Cooks. Do they really need another receiver? Well, let me tell you something: when you have a chance to add a player of Hopkins' caliber, you don't ask questions. You just do it. Imagine for a second, if you will, a receiving core of Lamb, Cooks, and Hopkins. That's not just a threat. That's a full-blown offensive apocalypse waiting to happen. Defensive coordinators around the league are probably breaking out in cold sweats just thinking about it. But let's break this down a bit. Why would Hopkins even consider coming to Dallas? Well, for starters, the Cowboys are perennial contenders. Say what you will about their playoff performance, but they're always in the mix. And for a player like Hopkins, who's still chasing that elusive Super Bowl ring, Dallas could be mighty tempting. Then there's the Dak Prescott factor. Dak's been putting up numbers, and you know he's got to be salivating at the thought of having a target like Hopkins to throw to. We're talking about a QB-WR combo that could rival some of the greatest in NFL history. Montana to Rice, Brady to Moss? How about Prescott to Hopkins? It's got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? But wait, there's more. Let's not forget about the Cowboys' offensive scheme. Mike McCarthy and Kellen Moore have been cooking up some pretty tasty offensive game plans. Adding Hopkins to the mix? That's like throwing a Carolina Reaper into your chili. It's gonna spice things up real quick. Now, I can already hear some of you keyboard warriors typing away in the comments. But what about the salary cap? How can the Cowboys afford him? Well, my friends, let me introduce you to a little something called creative accounting. Jerry Jones didn't become a billionaire by accident. If there's a will, there's a way, and when it comes to the Cowboys, there's always a way. Speaking of Jerry Jones, can you imagine the look on his face right now? The man loves his stars, and Hopkins is about as big a star as they come. Jones has never been shy about making splashy moves, and bringing Hopkins to Dallas would be like dropping a nuclear bomb in the free agent pool. But let's pump the brakes for a second and look at this from all angles. What would Hopkins' arrival mean for the rest of the team? Well, For starters, it would take a ton of pressure off Lamb. As good as CD is, he's been dealing with the expectations of being a roan. With Hopkins in town, Lamb could feast on lesser corners while Hopkins draws the top coverage. And Brandon Cooks? Man, talk about a luxury. Having a burner like Cooks as your double UR3 is the kind of problem every team wishes they had. The possibilities for this offense would be endless. 3 wide sets, 4 wide sets, heck, why not go 5 wide and just dare the defense to try and stop you? But it's not just the passing game that would benefit. Ezekiel Elliott might be gone, but Tony Pollard is more than capable of carrying the load. And with a receiving threat like Hopkins on the outside, you can bet those boxes are gonna get a whole lot lighter. Pollard could be looking at some wide-open running lanes, folks. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: Hopkins' age and recent injury history. Yes, he's 30 years old, and yes, he's had some issues staying on the field lately. But let me tell you something, when Hopkins is on the field, he's still one of the best in the business. This isn't some washed-up vet looking for one last payday. This is a game-changer who can still shift the balance of power in the NFC. And speaking of the NFC, can you imagine the reactions from the rest of the division if this goes down? The Eagles thought they had things on lock. Think again, Philly. The Giants were feeling good about their off-season moves. Sorry, Big Blue, but this would blow anything you've done out of the water. And Washington? Well, they're Washington. Enough said. But let's zoom out even further. We're not just talking about winning the division here. We're talking about Super Bowl aspirations. The Cowboys have been knocking on the door for years now. Could Hopkins be the one to finally kick it down? With an offense this loaded, it's hard to imagine anyone stopping them. Of course, we can't forget about the defensive side of the ball. The Cowboys have been making strides there too, with Micah Parsons leading the charge. But the buzz is real, folks. The Cowboys have been linked to Hopkins, and where there's smoke, there's often fire. It's going to come down to money, fit, and mutual interest. But if both sides can make it work, watch out, NFL. So what do you think, Cowboys Nation? Are you ready to see DeAndre Hopkins rocking the star? Can you picture him making ridiculous one-handed catches in a T&T stadium? Are you already planning your Hopkins jersey purchase? Let me know in the comments below what you think about this potential move. Do you love it? Hate it? Think I'm completely off my rocker for even suggesting it? Whatever your thoughts, I want to hear them. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a big thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. We'll be keeping a close eye on this situation and bringing you all the latest updates as they happen.